Hey Tiger Teachers, today I'm going to talk to you about Google. Now when I say the word Google, that encompasses so many things. So this training is going to focus on Google for Professionals, how to use the tools in your classroom with your students, but also use it to run your classroom, work with your team, and work with your administrators. So we're going to be focusing on the G Suite tools, which are Chrome, Docs, Slides, Forms, and Sheets, plus also Gmail and Calendar. So once you learn how each tool works, you will see that they are very similar. I'm hoping to get a baseline of knowledge in our district so that when you hear that you have to fill out a form to document your work time and then you have to share your sheet with your principal, you know how to do that. So welcome to Google for Professionals. Some just general Google Chrome things. So this is a Chrome browser. I'm on the Google webpage, the main home google.com page. Just to talk a little bit about the pieces, your active tab is always the one that is a lighter shade in the front. I have multiple tabs open. I can always add another tab by clicking the plus sign. This is the Omnibar. These are any extensions that I have added for extra functionality within the Chrome browser. More of them can be seen here off to the side. If I want to kind of make them hidden, I can always move them over a lot like this. If they kind of stress you out over there, you can move them. If I'm on a website currently that I want to save in my bookmarks, I can click this star right here and it'll automatically bookmark it. A little bit more into this space right here. You also have the ability to look at your bookmarks here, print all the different things as far as settings and editing your Chrome browser is there. This is the area where you can switch in and out of different Google accounts. As you can see, I have quite a few over here. So instead of clicking your image here and adding an account, doing it this way, guys, can kind of get your Google accounts crossed. If you've ever had an instance where you thought you created a document in your work account, but somehow it ended up in your personal, this is probably where you are managing your Google accounts. So instead of logging in and out of accounts in the same browser, go ahead and open different browsers or different people, is what it says here. And then when I click on one of these accounts, it opens a completely different Chrome browser so my accounts don't get all mixed up together. Okay. Down here is my menu bar. As you can see, I have quite a few things in the menu bar. These pages actually load when your Chrome browser opens. So don't put anything here just for fun. Just because this is where you want to keep everything, because it'll make your Chrome browser load slower. So just put the things that you really want to see day in and day out that you really need right here on this bar. Now, as you can tell, some of them are just an image, and they are just an image because I know exactly what that is. I know that is NutriSlice. So I don't have to have any words over here out to the side that explains to me what that bookmark is. This allows more real estate here on my menu bar. I can fit more apps to where I can see it. Like this here is StemScopes. I know that this is the StemScopes icon. So technically I can right click here. I can edit the tab or edit the link. I can delete the text from this bookmark. I can save it, and then it takes all of that space and makes it, boom, just into that one icon there. So maybe that is something that you would want to do in your Chrome browser to make it a little bit nice and neat. I actually saw a blog post this week where there is someone who put all these in color order, Roy G. Biv. I'm like, whew, you have too much time on your hands, girlfriend. So that might be something you're interested in as well. The next part is down here. You have your search bar. I showed you this already where you can manage your Google account, but I wouldn't recommend adding another account here. This is also where you can sign out. You also have your waffle here. These are all of your apps within Chrome. So this is just one of the many ways to get to the Chrome apps. These are movable, so you can put them in the order that makes sense for you. There is also a link here that gets you straight into Gmail, and that's where we're going to go next. Now, everyone's email is different. Everyone prefers their email to be set up different ways. So I'm going to show you how I have mine set up, plus some different ways that you might want to set yours up as well. Okay. First thing, I have mine set up in priority. So I have my important and unread emails here at the top. This keeps it nice and tight for me, and it shows me all of the emails that I think is important. Now, how does Google know that the emails are important? They're the ones that I respond to the most, or I click this little button right here and it tells me that these are the important ones, okay? So I can teach Google to put the important ones here for me. So what I do is I put all of the Commerce ISD emails that are ever sent from anyone in the district. I click this little icon here and I make sure that all commerce people come to the top, and then any pertinent vendors that I speak to or any outside people that I speak to or need to speak to on a regular basis and make sure I see their messages, I click that little icon right there. So I have important and unread here at the top. Then I have starred. This is anything that I have starred that I know I need to come back to or keep at the top for some reason. Yeah, I have quite a few. Don't judge. And then down here at the bottom, these are kind of like unimportant and unread. Okay, so these are the other ones. They may be listservs. They may be vendors that I don't talk to regularly. So anything that I don't have to see immediately, that I know that they don't need my immediate attention, can come down here to the bottom. Now I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. So let's, over here on the left, just different, if you want to organize your different emails with tags, you can do that. I usually don't do that. I'm a big searcher of Gmail. So if there's ever anything that I need to find, I search it. You have advanced search over here with this little arrow, so you can say who the email was from. If you know what the subject was, but mainly it's the words. I'll usually say, okay, I know that Dr. Trimmel sent me an email and I know it had the word whatever in it. And I can put her email here, I can put the word there, and then I can search. If I know it has an attachment, even better. That'll refine the search even more. So I'm a big searcher of emails. Your waffle is also up here in the right hand corner, but let's go on into settings. This is really where everything goes haywire. You also can have themes in your mail. I like it nice and clean for work. I just don't like a lot of stuff in the background, but you can also make a theme if you want to. If you want the beach to show in the background, or your own image, you can upload there in the background in kind of a muted color. But let's go to settings, because this is where you can really make it all work out. Okay, so we're in the general tab. We're going to scroll down here. This is something I want everybody to go in and check. Undo send. Do you have it set for 30 seconds? If you don't, do it, because this is your like, I didn't mean to send that email. Oh my gosh, take it away, rescind. That is where you do it. So you want to make sure that you have 30 seconds to get that before you, so you have the ability to undo that send. Another thing, don't click reply all, because every time you reply to any email, it's automatically going to go to reply all. And trust me, nobody wants to reply all unless it truly applies to all. Another thing, default text in your email. If you want to make changes, you can do that right here. If you want to change what kind of font you have, the size, what else is there? Grammar suggestions, spelling suggestions, autocorrect. Those are always great things. I actually have this Smart Compose on. It really helps. It gives me writing suggestions as I go, and it kind of learns what I normally write on different emails, and it just pops up what I normally put. Pretty cool. Conversation view. I know some people who do not like this. I personally do like it. If I send an email and somebody responds to it and I respond back, and then somebody else responds and then I respond back, it keeps everything in one email almost. It looks like in my email that is all one email, but really it's a conversation instead of there being a jillion different emails based on that same topic. So I preferably like it because I know that any correspondence that happens on that email is in that one spot. Nudges. This is something that kind of popped up this year. I think it's pretty cool. If you email someone and they haven't responded to you in 4 or 5 days, it pops it back to the top of your inbox and says, you know, something, have you received a response to this? And I'm like, oh no, I haven't. I need to go back to that. So that's pretty neat. Signature. I have a lot of people ask about signature. This is where you go to change it, but they have recently added the ability to do multiple signatures. So if you want a professional signature, and then if you want like a club signature, you have the chance to do multiple ones right there. And then my personal signature is just an image, guys. I created it in Google Drawings with a transparent background, and I just inserted it in here. And I have thank you, Heather. That's actually typed in this box, and then this is just an image that I uploaded. So there's a tip. If that's something you want to work on this summer, create a cool logo. Signature, there you go. And another thing that I use quite often is a vacation responder. You may have received it, but this is good if you know you're going to be out of the classroom for professional development, or if you are going to be out for a couple of days, or maybe out for the summer. You can turn on a vacation responder. It doesn't turn off your emails. You still get your emails, and it puts a bar at the top of your inbox that says your vacation responder is on, to let you know that, you know, they are getting a kickback response to their email. But you can choose to send a response only to people in your contacts, or send a response to people in Commerce ISD. I just have Commerce ISD chosen here. So that is kind of the settings within Google. There was something else I wanted to show you, but you can go across here and do any edits that you want to. Oh, here we go. This is what I want to show you. Priority inbox. This is what I have my email set as. So I have important and unread at the top, starred second, unread third, and everything else at the fourth. I didn't actually go down and show you everything else, but if I've read it, it's at the very, very, very bottom of my email. And you can, you know, choose how you want this. Show markers. That I have the markers on because I want it to analyze my incoming messages and help me handle my email life better. And then blocked. There's just all kinds of different things you can do here. So that is a little bit about Google and Gmail. And now we're going to switch over to Calendar. Okay, now with Calendar, there are some things that you can really do in here to customize your experience. As you can see, I have my calendar on over here because it has a check mark. I can also turn it off if I don't want to see it. This is very nice for those of you who have multiple calendars like I do. So you can only see the ones that you want to see. Sometimes the district calendar can get a little crazy, and I will turn it off, especially during the summer. But you have the ability to turn your calendars on and off. You can scroll through the months here and click specific days. If anytime you get kind of crazy within your calendar, let's say you get way over here in the future and you click a day and you're like, oh my gosh, how do I even get back to, oh, let's click today. Go back to today. That's the easiest way to get back. You have multiple views. I'm in the week view now. You can do a daily view if you want to. I like to see a week at a time. You can see a month, even though it really won't give you all of that really granular detail that I need when I'm looking at mine. If you want to schedule, which is pretty cool, you can do it like this, where it's just like more bulleted instead of it looking like a calendar. But I'm going to go back to week view. The waffle, always here for you, ready and waiting. Settings. Let's go to settings. You have multiple things you can choose within here. I haven't done a lot to this part. The only thing that I think I've changed is working hours. I know I've seen a couple people in the district where I'll try to schedule something with them and they'll say, I'm outside of working hours, and it's like 3 o'clock. I'm like, no, you're not. You're not outside of working hours. So make sure that you check working hours, because that might be weird on your calendar as well. But event settings, that might be neat. I know that some people, I'm sorry, I'll stop saying the word neat. I know I have seen a couple of people in the district who automatically add invitations to their calendar. Like they don't click yes, they're going. It automatically adds it for them. So that might be something that you want to do. But this is where you will go in and change your calendar settings. Something else I want to draw your attention to. Let's say you are, well, let's just go into creation. You can create a calendar invite or a calendar, I don't even know what to say it is, a calendar happening on your calendar by clicking. And then you can add all the pertinent information here. Then you can go into more options if you need to add more functionality or more things. This bar has not always been here, but it has always added a Google Meet link to your calendar. But you have the ability to just X that out. So if you're not, oh, that's neat. It used to just automatically create a Meet link, and that was always annoying to me, because if I was doing a web call, some people would assume that was the web call link, even though the web call link was down in the description. So I'm glad to see that they aren't adding that anymore. You used to have to exit. Okay, but the one thing I wanted to show here is, let's say that you want to add multiple people in this event, but you don't know who's available when. So I'm going to add Mrs. Sturch to my calendar, to my event. And as you can see, this Find a Time has popped up over here. So now I can click Find a Time, and I can see her calendar and what she has going on, and when a good time would be for both of us to meet. Okay, so that is I won't say pretty neat, but I think it's pretty neat myself. What else? Day and time. If it's all day, if it's an all day event, it will pop up at the very top of your email. But if you just set a specific time range, it'll go to that time range. Let me go ahead and take carry off of here. And I'm going to put testing. So it popped up right here. Let's say that this change and it needs to be tomorrow at noon. I can just drag it over here, tomorrow at noon. I do not have to open it. I don't have to do anything with it. I can just do that. But I'm going to delete that for now, because I'm going to go up here and I'm going to create over here. So this is another place you can go to create an event or a calendar thing here. If I put out of office here, you will say it automatically created this out of office bubble, which is something that's been pretty neat that has popped up lately. So if I put I'm out of office, it automatically X's that out. So if someone else is trying to create a calendar event, they know that they cannot create it right there in that spot, because I'm out of the office. And then appointment slots. Teachers. This is a great way for you to get parents to sign up for parent-teacher conference times. You can do these slots, do it with duration. If you want more details on that, just know that that's available. You can send your calendar link out to them, and they can actually sign up for appointment slots this way. So, pretty neat, right? going to discard that. I don't think there's anything else. The only other thing I can think of is colors. If the colors aren't exactly what you like blue is my favorite color, so I chose blue as my calendar. But I can go in here and I can change it. If I have multiple calendars on, I can just turn it off to where this is the only calendar displayed. Like immediately, boom, all the other ones are have gone away. If you want to share your calendar with someone, you can do it here. I already shared mine with Dr. Trimble. I can add people within the district if I want to. I can also send them a URL to where they can add it to their calendar. So there are many different ways to share your calendar with others. What else? I think that is it for now. So this is Google Calendar. I hope you have learned something that might help you manage your life, whether you work as a teacher or if you work in the office or if you're an administrator. Maybe this will help you a little bit manage your professional life. Of the G Suite tools and a little bit more about their functionality. The great thing about them is that they all pretty much work the same way as far as editing and sharing, but we're going to go through all the different things that you might not know that you can do within a doc, a slide, or a sheet, and then some neat sharing things. So first thing, this is a Google Doc. It is like a Word doc, but it is cloud-based. You all probably know that, but this is the icon for a doc. This is the name. At any time, you can change the name by clicking on it. You can change where it is saved. Currently, this is saved in my drive, but let's say I wanted to put it in a folder, or if I wanted to put it in a shared drive, I could do it here. I can share it with any of these shared drives that I'm a member of. So that is possible here as well. I could star it, which would put it in my favorites and pop it up to the top of my Google Drive. Let's see. One of the great things about Google is everything saves automatically. You don't have to click the save button at any time. And then these are all of your normal run-of-the-mill editing icons for word processing. Let me see. There was some things I wanted to show you here. Make a copy. This is one thing I wanted to talk to you about. Make a copy. So make a copy is similar to save as on a Word document. You click it. You can rename it. It's automatically going to put the words copy of in front of it, but you can change it to anything you want it to. I will do it there. I will leave that the way it is. I can change where it is saved, similar to where I did up here at the top, so I can change where this one is actually saved. If I have this document shared with certain people, I can share it with the same one. So let's say we have a planning document from 2019 and we want to use the same document and we want to share it with the same people. We just want to rename it 2020. You would click that. And if there are any comments or suggestions, you can also include those as well. Okay, so that's how you can make a copy of a document. Now, let's say that you want to make a copy of a document for a student. So, File, Make a Copy. I'm going to go ahead and do DLC, and I'm going to rename it Student Copy. And then it's going to open in a new tab, same document. But this is the document that I want to give to the students, but I wanted to force a copy for them. So instead of telling the students, okay, I want you to go in here and click File, Make a Copy, don't forget to do this, because if you go in here and make any edits to it, you're in trouble. So that's not the best way, because you know students are not going to always know what to do, how to make a copy, all those fun things. So in here at the top, you can just click the URL in the Omnibar. See where it has the word edit here at the end? You can take out the word edit and you can put in the word copy. Now, when I click enter, it changes it to this right here. So now when I want to give this to a student, I will give them this URL instead, and this is what it will do. It will force them to make a copy and it'll put the copy in their Google Drive. So that's a little tip and trick that I've known about for a while. Some of you know, but I actually showed a couple of teachers during our distance learning time this spring, so I thought this is something that I want to make sure and include in this training. Okay, so another way to force a copy for a student is in Google Classroom. So I'm going to go into our digital learning connections. I'm going to go into classwork. I'm going to create a new assignment. I'm going to add a Google Drive link here, and I'm going to use the current document that we are working in, but I want it to make a copy for each student. So this is another way within an assignment in Google Classroom that you can force a copy for a student. Okay, so I can X out of that and X out of that. So that's make a copy and the different things you can do. When you are working in this document, if you want to download it as a different file format, like a PDF, if you like all of your fonts, you like the way it's laid out, and you know that when another student opens it, it might not look the same, you can always save it as a PDF and you can give it to them that way. Version history, you can see all the different versions of a document. So if you have multiple people working in the same document, you can see all the different revisions that have been made right there. There is another functionality that I have added on to this document, and it's called Draftback. It is an extension that you can add to Google Docs where it'll actually play all of the changes back in a movie. So it is saving it, and I can view it right here. So if you have students that are working together in a document and you actually want to see it progress over time, you can get that Draftback extension as well and see that happening. So that's pretty neat. Let's look here to publish to the web. Let's say that you have just a page full of information and you want it to be just a plain website for people to access without having to log into Google or have the Google app on their phone or any of those type of things. You can do publish to the web, publish, and then it'll give you a URL in a second, and then you can actually paste that in a new tab and check it out and see what that looks like. So Command C, go over here to a new tab, Command V to paste it, and then you can see all of this just boop, plain white page, just the information from the document. So just remember that that is an option. Anything else? No, I don't think there's anything there. Inserting, you can insert an image there. You can insert a table. So if you're building a table of information, you can just do boop, simple like that. Delete that. Format, I don't think there's anything particular there. You can do columns if you want to do multiple columns of information. Tools. Voice typing, that is always nice for teachers and students who are trying to type. It makes it a little simpler. Add-ons, help. There was some other thing. I want to talk to you a minute about comments. So if you are looking at a student's document or if you're working with a coworker on a document and you want to share your thoughts and feelings about it without just making straight up changes to the document, you can always comment right here. So I can say, good job, love the logo. Or if I want to assign it to someone, if I want to make sure that this person sees it, I can tag them. So I can do @ and then I can add anyone here and I can say, whatever you want them to do, and then you can assign it to them and it'll give them an email. Okay, so if you're working on a student document and you're giving them feedback and you say, hey, you need to go in here and do X, Y, and Z, you can assign it to them by comment. But if you want to give them, like, you want to highlight this whole sentence there, it'll give them a highlight to know exactly what you're talking about, and you can comment that way. Okay, let's talk about sharing. Oh, sharing. Some of you have been the recipient of a Google document that was not shared correctly. Some of you have shared documents incorrectly. So let's talk a little bit about what it looks like. Okay, so the way I have it now, people at Commerce ISD who have the link can access this. But I can make changes here at any time. So I can go here. So I can say off, which means that only the people I have listed here can access it. The people I have listed here, they can edit, they can comment, or they can view. Edit means they can do anything to it that you can do. Comment means that they can go in here and comment on the different parts. So that's the people who you want to get feedback from. Or view. You don't want them to edit it. You don't want them to make any comments. They just need to read it. Okay? And you can just put their email address here. I just thought I had to do the @ but I don't. So I can type in the name there. And then I can type them a note and notify them that they have access. Okay? Or if I want to give people at Commerce, anyone at Commerce who has the link can edit it, you can do it that way. Anyone at Commerce who has the link can comment, or anyone in Commerce who has the link can view. Now, this requires the person to be logged into their Google account, their school Google account, before they can do anything with this document. So this is really only required on things that you know that no one on the outside needs to see or edit or have anything to do with. But a lot of the times we are dealing with people outside the district. We're dealing with parents, so we need to click the More button, and this is going to give us all the different options that we have. So, on, public on the web. Anyone on the internet can find it, no sign-in required. If you are doing some sort of document or form where you need parents from all over to be able to access it, this is what you want, okay? But that's public on the web. Anyone can search it and find it. Or you can say on, anyone with the link can access. So they still don't have to sign in, but they're only going to be able to get to it if they have the direct link sent to them. That's probably the best option. Anyone with in Commerce ISD can find and have access. And this is where, like if I click this for anyone in Commerce, that's when I can go and do these as well. Can edit, can comment, can view. Or anyone in Commerce ISD with the link can access. They can view it, comment, edit, or off. The same thing as we did earlier is I'd have to type in the person, you know, who had access to it. Okay, so I'm just going to save that. Or you can go down here to Advanced button and you can do it this way. This tells you a little bit more about the document and who actually does already have access to it and what their ownership level is. So let's say that I want Carrie to have access to it. And I don't want to notify her. I don't want her to get this email. So I want her to be able to edit it because let's say I'm working on something for professional development. I want her, yes, I want to skip sending invitations. And then let's say I want to add Sheila because it's professional development stuff and I want her to be able to edit it. And I don't want her an email either. And then let's say I'm sharing it with, I don't know, let's say Gus, my son. And then he just needs to view it because I don't even know why I had put him on here. But anyway, I can also send a copy to myself or paste the item itself into the email, which usually when I share a document, that's how I do it anyway. I just share it with whoever I want to have access to it, and then I give them the URL of the document. But these are some other great owner settings. Prevent editors from changing access and adding new people. So let's say I give Carrie and Sheila access to edit, but I don't want them to put anyone else on it. You know, I'm the one who's deciding who's on it. So I will click that. And then if you are creating something that you want to share with people, but you don't want them to be able to download it for themselves for later. You don't want them to be able to print it or make a copy of it. It's your intellectual property. Click that right there. because then no one can, then all the options for doing anything to it but view it are, they go away. So you can do that right there. So let's say that things change, and let's say I don't want Sheila to have access to it anymore. I just want her to be able to view it. And let's say that now Carrie needs to be the owner of this document, not me anymore. I can make her the owner. And so now when I save it, it's going to make this document be in Carrie's drive as her document. She owns it. She can do whatever she wants with it. It's no longer mine. So this is great if you're the one creating things for people, but it's not necessarily yours and somebody else needs to own it. This is where you go in and change ownership. So I know that's a lot to think about and take in and process, but if you have any questions about this at any time, make sure you let me know and I can go over sharing settings a little bit more for you. So I'm going to cancel all of this. I'm going to go ahead and X all this out, take away everything that I did, and there we go. Okay, I think that is everything I wanted to talk about in Drive or in Docs, but now I'm going to switch over to Slides and we're going to talk a little bit about the differences in Slides and things you can do there. Fount of useless knowledge, and if I could just get in front of people, or if people would just ask me, I have a lot of information to share. So I feel like this is my opportunity to share with you some very cool things about Slides that you might not know about. Okay, first of all, when you open Google Slides, it gives you a sheet that is this size. This is too big for our projectors in Commerce ISD for our Promethean boards. This is the wrong size. So it's going to put black at the top and black at the bottom. So that's the first thing you need to do if you are going to project a Google slide anywhere in our district. You need to go to File and you need to go to Page Setup. And you don't need to be in widescreen. You need to be in standard 4:3. So boom, first thing you do if you are showing something. Now, if you are presenting at a conference or elsewhere, they usually now have widescreen projectors and you will want to edit accordingly. But another size that you may want to do within Google Slides is a custom size of 8.5 by 11 inches. And what size is that? That's a sheet of paper. That's a sheet of paper size. And I love creating in Google Slides because unlike Docs, everything's in a straight line. If you insert an image, it pretty much has to be at the top of the document. If you try to move it throughout, it's going to get all crazy. You can't turn it sideways or tilt it or do any real fun things to it. So I recommend if you are creating a newsletter, this is where I create Potty PD, guys. I create it in a Google slide this size. So it's the easiest way to add text and images and manipulate them. So let's say that I really am creating something. I can insert, oh gosh. Oh, I actually have it right there. Oh, and it's transparent too. So I can put that there. What I mean by tilting, I can turn it all these different ways. If I want to, I can move it anywhere on the page. It even gives me these bars. So this is center of the page vertically and center on the page horizontally. But if I'm only worried about center vertically, I can do it that way. I can insert a text box anywhere and I could say, hello, this is my newsletter. Public typing. Okay, so once I do that, I can highlight it. I can change it to any number of fonts. I've downloaded lots of cool ones throughout the years, and how you do that within Google is to click the More Fonts button, and then you can search all the fonts there are. But I know fonts is something that's usually only reserved for elementary teachers. We all have to be cutesy, but there are some secondary people who lean toward the cute and the desktop publishing world, so this is an easy way to do it. Within this text box, you can also add the lines. This is how I did it for my Potty PD, so I can add a solid line, dotted line, cute little dashy lines. I can make it weighted however I want to, so I can make it nice and big, or I can make it thinner. I can, what else can I do? Okay, so let's say I wanted to change the background color. I could go here, I could choose an orange. Boom, done. Ooh, that's way too much orange. But I can change it there. If I want there to be an image, I can put that in the background. I'm gonna reset it though, because that's just like way too much orange. The layout, you can change the layout, themes, transitions. There are lots of themes within Google, but there are lots of themes out there in the world. So this is, I have 4 different sites up here for you. They've all gone to sleep. Sorry about that. But these are education. I've sorted to the education ones, but this is slidesgo.com. Very neat slide backgrounds for you. And usually they have multiple pages of all different kinds of things, and then sometimes at the ends they have different icons and things that you can add to it if you want to as you go. So lots of neat ones there. That's slidesgo.com/education. There is also Slides Carnival, which is right here. It doesn't have an education section, as you can see, but I just searched education, so they have quite a few that can be used for education. That's really cute. So lots of ideas there. This one here, I'm sorry, I'll go ahead and wake this one up too. Sorry, I have a extension called the Great Suspender, and if I don't use a tab after a while, it puts it to sleep, because I am well known to have like 50 tabs open at one time, and they can't all run at the same time, so they just go to sleep. So anyway, that's called, what was it called? I just said it. I have to rewind and go back and see what it was. But this is slidesmania.com. That Lego one is so cool. You actually have blocks in there too. She added her Bitmoji on that one right there. Choice boards. Oh, that'd be fun. And then graduate, different options there. They have 21 pages in the education section, so lots of choices there. And then Slides Gala, or Gala, however you want to say it, .com. Also education section, lots of neat options for your class. Okay, so those are different themes you can do. Once you click on one on any of these sites, it asks you if you want to use it in Google, and then it makes a copy for you, and then you just save it in your drive. Add-ons Present with Remote. This is an added functionality that I have, Remote for Slides. It is a Chrome extension, and it allows me to use my phone as a remote in Slides. So if you want to know more about that, Chrome extension, Remote for Slides, send me an email, say, hey, show me how to do that remote thing. I can show you that. But that's why that bar was up here at the top. Present, to start your presentation. Share, exact same thing I just shared with you in the Google Docs area. You can get the shareable link. You can go through all these different share settings. Okay, exact same thing. You can also make a copy for students of Google Slides. So if you create a Google Slide template and you want them to create something out of it, you can force a copy by changing this word or changing the end of this to copy, or you can put it in Google Classroom and it can make a copy for the students that way. Okay, so that is just a little bit more about Google Slides. I hope that you take a chance and use it this year. It really does some neat things. It also has a transition similar to what you can do in PowerPoint as far as between the slides. There's just so many neat things that you can do in Slides. Many of you use forms to collect information from students and from staff members. And Google Forms, there really are some great things within Google Forms, and I'm going to talk about Forms and then talk about Google Sheets as well, since it is a component of forms. So I'm going to go to questions first. I'm going to start across the top here and talk about all of these things. You can go to the forms home right there, change the name of the form, move where the form lives. If you don't want it to be just in your drive, you can make it as a favorite. You can change the theme and the color right here. So if you want to choose your own image header, you can do that right there. You can also create your own image header in Google Drawings, and that would be a neat way to customize it for your classroom and your students. You can change your theme color here, and then you can also change the very background color if you want to, and then you can change the fonts. I don't recommend this really because it makes it hard for people to read. If you really are trying to collect information from people, all people, you don't want to alienate anyone who might have problem seeing or reading by choosing a font that's hard to read. So I probably would just stick with basic right there. Okay, the eyeball preview is if at any time you are working and you can't really see what it looks like, you can't get the vision behind it, and you really want to see what it's going to look like in real life, you can click the eyeball and it will give you a view of the form right there. Settings. This is something that you definitely want to visit, an area you want to visit. If you are sharing this with students or sharing it outside of the district, because if you click collect email addresses, that means that the person has to be logged in to their Gmail account to be able to fill out this form. Great for staff members, fine for students, not great for the community. Not everyone has a Gmail account. Some people are Yahoo, some people are Hotmail, so you don't want to click that if you're going outside of the district. Restrict users, like I said, it's great within the district, not good without. If you limit them to one response, once again, they have to log into their email account to limit to one response. So just be mindful of who you are sharing the form with. Now, if you give them the option to edit after submit, just know that that means right then. Like after they get done with the form filling it out, it gives them a link to be able to go back and edit their responses. It doesn't mean that they can go in a week later and edit their form. And able to do that, there is a way to do it. I've done it. But there's some formulas involved with Google Sheets to open it back up for all the different people who filled it out. So just know that don't let people know, oh, you can edit after you submit it. That means like right then, okay? And then see a summary of charts and text responses. That's for people who've already filled out the form. If you want to give them a little bit of data on who else has filled this out, you can click that if you want to. Okay, if you want to show a progress bar, if you have a long form that you're having someone fill out, you may want to give them a progress bar so they can see that they are 25% through it or 50% through it. And that's usually if you have different pages of your form and everything. It's not just in one straight line. If you are making the form as a quiz, you might want to shuffle the question order. And then show a link to submit another response. So at the very end of the form, you may give them a confirmation message, and then it'll give them a link to give them another blank form to fill out. And then quizzes. You have the ability to build quizzes within these Google Forms. There's a locked mode on the Chromebooks, all kinds of different functionality. So if you are interested in giving quizzes on the Chromebooks with Google Forms, we can look at this at a later date. Okay, so I'm going to cancel out of the settings. Send. This is another thing that you want to make sure that you look at and think about how you want to get your form out to people in the district or outside of the district. Once again, if it's going outside of the district, do not have this checked. Okay, you can send this via email. If you are sending out something within the district and you send it out in the middle of an email, it's that you can actually include the Google form in the email. Not a link to it, but people can actually fill it out. So if it's something really short, like what's your favorite Sonic drink? Put your first name, last name, and then choose your Sonic drink. You can put that in the middle of an email. It makes it a lot easier for people to fill out. But a really long thought-provoking form, you might not want to do it that way. So you can send it in an email. You can do a link, and you can send this link if you want to. You can do a shortened URL, or you may just want to embed the URL in some text, and I can show you how to do that in just a minute. And then you can also embed the HTML in a website. So if you have your website and you want to put a form embedded in the middle of your website, you can use that right there and actually choose the size of the form, how big you want it to be. Okay, and then 3 dots always means in Google more functionality, so you can make a copy. So if once again this is one of those documents that you use year after year, you can make a copy of it and change the years from 19 to 20. You can trash it. You can get a free pre-filled link. You can print it. You can add people to work on this form with you. Add-ons, preferences, script editor, all those things are over there on the side. So let's look at the questions. This is the title of the form. Once I changed this right here, it updated this right here. So those are linked. This is the description of the form. So this is where I explain what the form is for. And then you can start adding your questions. It automatically adds one for you here, but you can click the plus sign, add a question. You can choose what kind of question that you want to ask. You can do short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, check boxes, which a checkbox means they have more than one choice. Multiple choice means there's one right answer. Check boxes means there's more than one right answer. Drop down, if you have a whole list of stuff that they can choose from, it's not always good to leave it listed in a checkbox or listed as a multiple choice. Sometimes the drop down looks neater. If you want them to upload a file to turn into you, give them that option right there. Linear scale, multiple choice grid, checkbox grid, date or time. Ooh, I don't want to insert an image, but you can if you wanted to. I'll do that in just a second. So let's go ahead and work on this question. What is your favorite day of the week? Public typing. Gotta love it. So it'll give me suggestions. Look, I can go ahead and add them all. Boom. Done. Gotta love Google. So I can make this, I can duplicate this question. I can decide, oh, I don't like that question. I can delete it. I can make it required, which means it'll give it a red asterisk beside it, and that people have to complete that question before they can submit the form. So that's what the required toggle means. And then if you want to do a description, so I have used a description before when I've asked for what's your name, and then I'll say first name, last name, or last name, comma, first name, however I want their name in there, because if you've ever worked in Google Forms before and you've worked in the data from a Google form, if you don't tell people explicitly what you want, then you're going to get things all over the place. And if you want to be able to sort your information by that field, you want to make sure that they fill it out the right way. Okay, so this is another thing you can do. Go to section based on answer. So let's say I had a form a couple of years ago where I said, what campus are you on? And I had CES, AC Williams, CMS, CHS. So I had it as a go to answer based, or go to section based on answer. So I went ahead and built out all of my questions for CES, all of my questions for AC Williams, middle school and high school, and then I actually pointed that answer to go to that section. So if you really want to do a branching form that's pretty fancy, you can do that. If you ask them a question and if they answered it and you don't need to know anything else from them, you can go ahead and submit the form, send them to that page. So there are lots of neat things you can do within Google in that way. So that's how you add a question. You can also import questions from other places. You can add a title and description of different sections as you go. You can insert an image. You can insert a video. So if you wanted to insert a video for students to watch and then answer questions for this is a nice little neat place to do that. So you could insert the video above the questions and do the questions underneath. And then this is where you go to add sections based on your branching. So this would be, like I was using as an example earlier, this is my CES section. And you have to build all this out before you can actually branch. So I'll do two branches. And then I say, which campus are you located? And then, multiple choice. Option 1 is CES. Second is AC Williams. And then I go to section based on answer. So if you answer CES, it's going to take you to the CES section. If you answer AC Williams, it's going to take you to the AC Williams section. Okay, so that's a little bit fancy. Might not be something you need, but you know, pretty cool. Next thing are your responses. So you can accept responses or turn it off if you aren't. If it's the end of your form and it's the end of the time slot and no one else can submit, you can turn it off and give them a response. All of the responses are down here. It gives you pie graphs, it gives you charts, it gives you all kinds of neat information. But let's say you just want to see your responses in a spreadsheet. You can create a spreadsheet based on the answers to these questions. But note, finish your questions, have that all done before you click this button, because once it creates the spreadsheet, and then if you change anything in your questioning, it's just going to add all those questions to the end of the spreadsheet, and it's not going to look right for you with your data. So just know, finish your questions, even start getting responses before you click this button. You don't have to click this button until you actually need to see data, okay? And this here, it gives you, you can download CSV, email notifications for new responses. That's nice to have on, so you know when people are actually filling out your form. It'll send you an email and say, hey, people have filled out your form. So I'm going to go ahead and click this spreadsheet here. If you have an existing spreadsheet that you want to connect it to, I've never actually done that, but creating a new spreadsheet, create. So let's say that you used this form in 2019 and now you need to use it in 2020. Your form is linked, okay? So this is your 2019 data. To fix that, you go in here and you unlink that form. This form still stays there, or this data, responses still stay there, but you can unlink the form from that, make a copy, and then you can link a new spreadsheet of responses there. Okay, so it has my timestamp of when they filled it out. If I have asked for their email address, that will be listed there, and then all of my questions and information are right there. Okay, I have a best practices tip for you. Some of the feedback that I received from parents when working on this training and all the different parts and pieces of the things we have in the district, some parents expressed concern that some teachers were collecting information from students via forms, and why it concerned them is the parents didn't know if the work was done. And that's valid, because there isn't a way for the student to go back in the form to see that they have responded. The teachers know, because you can see here. So if you wanted to give view rights to parents on this information, if it was a book reading log, or if it was a band practice log, anything like that, but then you might run into student privacy information. So just note that Google Forms, while it's great to collect information when you're in a classroom with students, it might not be the best tool to use when collecting information from students in distance learning if a grade is attached, because those parents who really are working with their kids and trying to make sure everything is turned in every week, they don't have a way to go in and prove to themselves that their student actually did what they were supposed to do. So that is just a word of warning that if we do go to a distance learning environment again in the fall, that you would want to use an assignment in Google Classroom instead for that information, just because the parents will be able to see what was submitted. Okay, so that's Google Forms. Last thing I'm going to show you today is Google Drive. This is Google Drive, drive.google.com. It's in the waffle. Looks like the triangle. Okay, so this is where all of your Google files are saved, or any other files that you choose to upload into Google Drive, like photos. We have unlimited Google Drive storage space with our Google for Education account, so it's a great place to store photos or any other files. Now, when you first open up Drive, it shows My Drive, which is your personal drive. So anything that you've added, if you've made folders or shared them with people, it tells you with the little person inside that you've shared the folder with someone, and then just all of your documents in a list. Some people like to organize these. They like to change the colors. They have everything saved in a very nice, pristine way. Me, I'm a searcher. So like I showed you in Mail, how you can search, you can also search in Drive. You can choose anybody who you've communicated with, who you might share a file with, or who have shared a file with you. You can search certain kinds of documents. So if you click this little down arrow, you can go to this area here. So if you know that you're looking for a Google Doc and you know that you made it, and you know anything about it, I love that it even searches the words of the document. So it gets that granular, so it's really easy to find things. And you notice here, if you don't want to scroll down and do all this clicking, you can actually type owner, me, type document in the search bar and just do it that way if you want to. So you can search that way. It's really simple. If you just click in here, that's when it gave you all of these options, and the advanced search is when it pops down whatever's under that triangle right there. So searching is a great way to find things in Drive. You can do list view, which is what I have grid view right now. So you can do list view if you prefer that, or you can switch back and forth between the two. You'll also see that you have shared drives. Now these are drives that we have started using in the district. You may have a staff one. We have a district one, but it's great to have these guys because as people come in and out of the district, files can get lost because they are tied to a one person's account, and when they leave, they kind of just go away with that person. If you create a drive within your team, within your campus, within your PLC, within your school club or group, then that's a great way for you to share files and ensure that they keep building on each other instead of recreating every year. So you can go within the drive, you can see who all it is shared with. So this is shared with one group, which is our cisd.staff@commerceisd.org email account, and then 6 individual people, and you can see how the files are shared with them, whether who the owners are, who the contributors are. You can add members right here, and so all of the files are right here. So let's look and see what this looks like. This is our staff stuff, so you can see who owns it, who can add stuff. You can add members here, and then you can also add members here if you want to. Okay, so that's shared drive. Any files that were shared with you, so if you know that you didn't create it, but somebody else did, and you can't find it, you can go here with the share with me area. If you opened it recently, it will be here. If you have started, so remember I showed you earlier how you can go to the top of a document and click to where you can find it for easy access later. This is where it will be, and then you can trash here as well. You can also create new documents here, new folders. You can upload files. All of these Google tools here, plus these Google tools, plus any extensions that you may have added. These are apps that I have added on, but you can start a new doc here, a new sheet, new slide. There is also this Chrome extension, guys. It's called Google Docs Quick Create. You can click here, new document, boom, opens new tab, creates you a new document. Super easy. So once again, that's an extension in the Chrome Web Store. It's called Google Docs Quick Create. Or you can always open a new tab and go Docs, New, and boom, that'll open a new Docs. So there's Docs New, Slides New, Sheets New, Forms New. Those are the different URLs to open any new document in a quick and easy way. So we'll delete those out. And then I believe that is everything that I wanted to share about Google Drive. Now there are a couple of things that as I was recording this earlier, I realized I forgot that I wanted to cover that I think is important enough to cover. And I have actually had two people ask me about this during our COVID-19 distance learning spring we've had. So I know that a lot of us have to share links with people, and I want to show you how to share a link in a nice, clean way. So let's say this is the Google training for 2020. I uploaded it to YouTube, let's say, for you, and here is the link. Now, you have two options here. Well, I won't make this all caps because that gives away what I'm going to do. Because I have a tendency to do all caps because not everybody understands that there's a link in there. So I try to make sure. So you can do, here is the link, and you can paste it here. Okay, whatever the URL is. And usually it's pretty ugly. So I'm going to go up here to this document here, and we'll copy it. Command C, Command V. Okay, that's real cute, isn't it? Okay, I did Command V or Control V there, and see how I made it smaller? I can do Command Shift V, and it'll make it look like my font in my email. So that's another little trick there. So Command Shift or Control Shift, and then V to paste will make the font match what you already have in your email or in your document. Okay, if you forget that, I can tell you that later. So that's ugly, right? So I'm going to Control Z that out of there. We don't like it. So I'm going to put a period here, and then I'm going to say, here is the link. This is where I want you to go. Okay, so I'm going to click this little link button here, insert link. My text is going to say, here's the link, but it's actually going to route to that right there. And then I'm going to click OK. And so now it gives me this nice little blue underline here, and it tells me that that's where it's actually going to go. But it looks a lot better than that ugly URL sticking out there. So that is one of my tips, how to add a URL to text. Same way in Google Docs, you can say, here is the video, public typing. So here's the video, and then there's that same insert link, boom. Okay. Last thing I wanted to show you is when you are sharing documents with someone, a Google form, a sheet, and you share it and you think you've shared it correctly, but they get it and they don't have access. You're like, oh man, I could have sworn I did that right. Well, there is a way to test yourself that you have shared it correctly, and that's through Incognito Mode. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, Control A, Control C. I'm going to copy this URL right here. And let's say I have shared it with my campus and nobody can get to it. So before I even send it to my campus, I'm going to go over here to these three dots, and I'm going to go to a new incognito window. It means it's sneaky, okay? It means that in this window, technically, I am not logged into my commerceisd.org email address. It doesn't know any of my browsing history. None of my cookies are saved. I'm just Joe Blow off the street trying to access something. So, Command V, Enter. Aha! So it gives me view access, but I don't have access because I'm not signed in. So I have to sign in to view it. So this lets you know that if you are sharing this with someone outside of the district or with anyone, that you do not have the correct permissions in place if you're not seeing what they should see. I hope that makes sense. Just a little side note here, our students do not have access to incognito mode because we don't want them to be incognito for any reason. But you as a staff member might want to use this when, if you have students coming up to the front to show a presentation and they have to log into their Google account. Well, you don't want them to log you out and log back in, because remember what I said earlier about the connecting Google accounts and things getting all weird and crossed. So you can go to an incognito window, go to Drive, they log in here, and once you X out, it saves nothing. Nothing is saved as far as usernames or passwords. So that's a great way for students to log into your machine to show a presentation or whatnot. Okay, so that's last thing I want to show you is how to test a link in incognito mode. It's also a great place to check links to forms. So if you're sharing a form out to parents and you think you've turned everything off, but you want to make sure before you actually publish to everyone, the last thing you want are 20 emails that this isn't working. So go to incognito mode and check your links. Thank you for joining me for Google for Professionals. If you have any questions or need any help, don't hesitate to reach out.